Ladies and gentlemen, listen, I know how tempting it is to block him when he ignores you or to beg for just a little bit of his time or attention. Maybe you've been there, waiting by your phone, sending message after message, hoping he'll finally notice you. But here's the truth, nobody tells you those moves. They don't work. In fact, they often push him further away. What if I told you there's a smarter, simpler way to handle this? A way that doesn't make you feel small or desperate, but instead puts you in control, so powerful that when you do this one thing, he'll start coming back to you on his own. No begging, no blocking, just watching it happen. Stay with me, because if you want to stop the guessing games and start seeing real results, this is the moment that will change everything. When you feel hurt, ignored, or disrespected, your first reaction might be to block him out completely. You want to shut the door and say, "That's it. I'm done." It's a natural feeling. When someone you care about doesn't treat you the way you deserve, your heart wants to protect itself. But here's the catch. Blocking him in anger or frustration is usually the wrong move if your goal is to build a connection or keep your power in the situation. Blocking is a powerful tool when used for the right reasons, like protecting yourself from toxic behavior or abuse. But when you use it out of anger or impatience, you're giving away your power instead of owning it. When you block someone suddenly, it sends a message of panic or desperation, even if that's not what you want. It says, "I'm so upset, I can't even handle this right now." And that kind of energy doesn't attract people. It pushes them away. Patience, on the other hand, creates power. When you stay calm and don't rush to block or cut him off, you show strength. You prove that you can handle uncertainty and don't need to control every moment. This patience is attractive because it shows you respect yourself enough not to act on every negative feeling. It's like saying, "I'm worth more than a quick reaction." This mindset puts you in control, not him. Think about it this way: when you block someone in anger, you're closing the door without giving the relationship a chance to grow or heal. But if you hold your ground, stay patient, and keep your space open, you leave room for things to change, for him to reflect on what's happening and realize what he's missing. Sometimes people don't appreciate what they have until it's almost gone. When you don't rush to block him, you give him the opportunity to see your value. Patience also helps you avoid making decisions you'll regret later. Acting in anger can lead to burning bridges that might have been worth saving. When emotions are high, it's easy to think blocking will solve everything, but often it only creates more problems and regrets. Waiting, breathing, and giving yourself time to think clearly can save you from unnecessary pain. Another reason patience builds power is that it gives you control over your own emotions and reactions. When you learn to manage how you respond, you stop being a victim of the situation. You take back the steering wheel. Instead of reacting impulsively, you respond intentionally. This control builds confidence and shows that you're not dependent on his actions for your peace. Patience also allows you to focus on what truly matters, your own growth and happiness. When you don't block him immediately, you have the chance to use that energy to invest in yourself. You can grow stronger, smarter, and more confident. You become someone who doesn't need to chase or cut off others, but instead attracts positive relationships naturally. It's important to recognize that patience doesn't mean waiting forever without limits. It means giving space and time, but also knowing your worth. If someone continually disrespects you or ignores you, patience is about standing firm in your boundaries without acting out of anger. You're patient because you're strong, not because you're willing to accept less than you deserve. You might ask, but what if he keeps hurting me? How long should I wait? The answer is simple: wait long enough to protect your peace, but not so long that you lose yourself. Patience isn't about tolerating disrespect. It's about choosing when and how to respond with your dignity intact. In summary, don't rush to block him when things get tough. Don't cut off communication out of anger or frustration. Instead, practice patience. Let that patience become your power. It shows you respect yourself, gives the relationship space to breathe, and keeps you in control of your emotions. When you master this, you'll see that your power doesn't come from pushing people away in anger. It comes from holding your ground calmly and confidently. And that's when things start to change. That's when you watch what happens. Begging for someone's attention is one of the quickest ways to lose your power in any relationship. When you find yourself constantly reaching out, sending message after message, or trying to convince someone to notice you, what you're really showing is a lack of respect for yourself. It may not feel like that in the moment because you're desperate for connection, but begging doesn't build attraction. It destroys it. When you plead for attention, it puts you in a position of weakness. It signals to the other person that your happiness depends entirely on their approval or presence. And that kind of neediness is exhausting to be around. People are naturally drawn to confidence and independence. When you chase someone, you make yourself less attractive because you're showing that you don't believe in your own worth. Respecting yourself means having the patience and self-control to wait for someone to come to you. It means trusting that if someone values you, they will make the effort to be present without being begged. When you stop begging, you set a boundary that says, I deserve respect and I won't settle for less. This boundary doesn't just protect you. It also demands that the other person step up or step aside. Waiting for attention without begging is not about playing games or being cold. It's about valuing yourself enough to refuse to lower your standards. It's about knowing your worth and not letting anyone make you feel invisible or unimportant. When you do this, you create space for healthier, more balanced connections where both people show up willingly. It's important to understand that begging is often driven by fear. Fear of losing someone, fear of being alone, or fear of not being good enough. But fear is not a foundation for strong relationships. When you act from fear, you lose your true self. You give away your power and your dignity. Instead of being a partner, you become a pursuer, and that dynamic rarely leads to happiness. Respecting yourself also means focusing on your own happiness and not relying on someone else to make you feel complete. When you're happy and confident on your own, you naturally become more attractive. People are drawn to those who have their own lives, goals, and passions. Waiting patiently for attention while building your own life shows strength, not weakness. When you stop begging, you also open the door for honest communication. If the person cares about you, they will notice the change and might start to reflect on their own behavior. Sometimes, when someone is taken for granted or is too comfortable, they don't realize how valuable you are. But when you step back and respect yourself, they get a chance to see what they're missing. It's normal to want attention and reassurance, especially from someone you care about. But there's a big difference between asking kindly and begging desperately. Asking respectfully shows confidence and clear boundaries. Begging shows insecurity and neediness. The first invites respect, the second invites disregard. Learning to wait without pleading also builds emotional resilience. It teaches you patience, self-control, and how to manage your expectations. These skills are essential for any healthy relationship. When you respect yourself enough to wait, you show that you can handle uncertainty without losing your mind or your heart. Some people worry that if they don't beg or chase, they'll lose the person entirely. But here's the truth. If someone really cares, they won't walk away just because you stopped begging. They'll come to you because they want to be there, not because you forced them to stay. And That's the kind of relationship worth having. Waiting with respect also means being okay with walking away if your efforts are not appreciated. Sometimes the best thing you can do is give yourself permission to let go. Not because you're giving up, but because you're choosing yourself. You're saying, I deserve someone who wants to be with me without me having to plead for it. In the end, respect starts with you. When you stop begging for attention, you reclaim your power. You send a message that you're valuable, confident, and deserving of genuine care. And when you do that, you'll notice that the right people start to notice you without you having to chase or plead. So stop begging. Respect yourself enough to wait. Watch how your confidence grows, how your relationships improve, and how your peace of mind returns. When you learn this, you don't just survive the ups and downs. You thrive in a way that makes others take notice. That's when the real change happens. One of the biggest mistakes people make when they feel ignored or unappreciated in a relationship is to put all their energy into chasing the other person. You get so caught up in trying to get his attention, trying to make him notice you, that you forget about the most important person in your life, yourself. The truth is, focusing on your own life, your growth, and your happiness is one of the most powerful things you can do, not just for yourself, but also for the relationship. When you stop chasing him and start chasing your own dreams, goals, and passions, something magical happens. You shift from being reactive, always waiting on him, trying to prove your worth, to being proactive. You take charge of your life. And when you do that, you automatically become more attractive. People are drawn to those who have purpose and passion. No one wants to be with someone who is constantly begging for attention or who puts their life on hold just for another person. Focusing on your own growth means investing time in improving yourself. Maybe it's learning a new skill, working on your health, or pursuing a hobby you love. Maybe it's working on your mindset, building confidence, or setting new goals for your career. When you invest in yourself, you grow into a stronger, more confident person. That confidence shines through and makes you irresistible. Not because you're trying to impress anyone, but because you're living authentically. Happiness also plays a huge role in this. When you focus on what makes you truly happy, you stop depending on someone else to fill that void. You stop looking to him to complete you or to fix your mood. Instead, you create your own joy. And joy is contagious. When you're happy on your own, you radiate positive energy that others naturally want to be around. Chasing someone, on the other hand, often comes from a place of fear and insecurity. Fear of being alone, fear of rejection, fear that you're not good enough. But when you focus on yourself, you begin to heal those fears. You start to believe in your own worth, and that belief changes everything. Instead of fearing loss, you embrace life and all the opportunities it has to offer. Another important thing to remember is that focusing on your own life helps you avoid the trap of losing yourself in a relationship. Sometimes, when we chase someone too hard, we start to change who we are just to please them. We give up things we love, we silence our own needs, and we forget what makes us unique. But when you put your own life first, you maintain your identity and your independence. And independence is powerful because it means you are whole on your own. It's also important to recognize that relationships are healthiest when both people are whole and happy individually. If one person is constantly chasing and the other is always distant, the balance is off. By focusing on yourself, you bring balance back. You become someone who is not desperate but desirable, someone who can share their life with another without losing themselves. When you focus on your own growth, happiness, and life, you also create space for better connections. Sometimes, when you chase someone too hard, you scare them away or make them feel suffocated. But when you live your life fully, you give him the chance to notice you from a distance, to come to you because He genuinely wants to be part of your world, not because you dragged him in. People often think that stopping the chase means giving up on the relationship, but that's not true. It means shifting your energy to the only thing you can truly control, yourself. And when you do that, you empower yourself. You take your happiness out of someone else's hands and put it where it belongs, with you. Focusing on your own life also helps you develop patience and resilience. You learn that life keeps moving with or without someone's attention. You learn to enjoy your own company and to trust that the right people will come into your life at the right time. This patience is a form of self-love that protects you from unnecessary pain. In the end, focusing on your own growth, happiness, and life is the best investment you can make. It builds your self-worth, attracts the right kind of attention, and creates a life full of meaning. So stop chasing him. Start chasing your own dreams and happiness. Watch how your confidence grows, how your relationships improve, and how life opens doors you never expected. When you do this, you don't just survive the pain of feeling ignored. You thrive beyond it. And that's when the real magic happens. One of the hardest things to do when you feel ignored or taken for granted is to give someone space. When your heart aches for attention and connection, the idea of stepping back and letting him be can feel like the last thing you want to do. But sometimes giving him space is exactly what you need to do, not just for the relationship, but for your own peace of mind. Space is powerful. It allows both of you to breathe, reflect, and appreciate what you have. When you crowd someone with constant messages, calls, or demands for attention, you risk overwhelming them. People need room to think and feel on their own terms. If you don't give that room, you might push him further away without even realizing it. The saying, "Absence makes the heart grow fonder," is more than just a cliché. It's rooted in a deep psychological truth. When someone is constantly around, we can sometimes take them for granted without even meaning to. But when they step back, when there's a little distance, it creates a chance for reflection. He gets the opportunity to miss you, to remember the good times, and to realize how important you are to his life. Giving space also helps you break free from the emotional roller coaster of feeling needy or rejected. When you step back, you regain your emotional balance. You stop obsessing over why he hasn't called or why he's not paying attention. Instead, you focus on your own life and well-being. This shift in focus helps you feel stronger and more in control. Space isn't about playing games or trying to make him jealous. It's about honoring your own boundaries and recognizing that healthy relationships require breathing room. When you give space, you show that you respect yourself enough to not cling or suffocate. You also show respect for him as an individual who needs time to process his own feelings. It's important to understand that space is a form of communication. By giving him room, you're saying, "I'm here, but I'm not desperate. I value myself, and I'm willing to wait." This message carries more power than constant chasing or pleading. It creates a sense of mystery and respect that can reignite attraction. Giving space also helps prevent resentment from building up inside you. When you constantly push for attention and don't get it, frustration grows. That frustration can turn into bitterness or anger, which damages the relationship even more. Taking a step back allows both of you to cool down, clear your mind, and come back with a fresh perspective. Sometimes absence also helps reveal true intentions. If he really cares, he will make an effort to reach out and show it. If he doesn't, the distance will make it clearer to you that maybe this relationship isn't balanced or healthy. This clarity is crucial because it saves you from wasting time and energy on someone who isn't fully invested. While giving space is important, it's equally important to use that time wisely. Don't just wait passively, hoping things will magically change. Use this time to focus on yourself, your passions, your goals, your happiness. When you focus on your own life during the absence, you become even more attractive and confident. This makes the space between you not just empty time, but a period of personal growth. You might fear that giving space will make him forget you or move on. But real connection isn't about constant contact. It's about quality connection. If your relationship is meant to be, the space will only make it stronger. People who truly care find ways to stay connected even when they're not physically or constantly present. It's also important to trust the process. Giving space is a sign of maturity and emotional intelligence. It shows you understand the rhythms of relationships, that sometimes you need to slow down to move forward. When you give space, you're not losing, you're preparing for something better, whether it's a stronger connection or the courage to walk away if needed. Remember, space is a gift you give to both yourself and him. It allows healing, reflection, and growth. It breaks patterns of neediness and builds respect and attraction. When you learn to give space without fear or desperation, you take back your power and create the conditions for love to flourish on healthier terms. In the end, absence really can make the heart grow fonder, but it only works if you use that absence wisely by focusing on yourself, setting boundaries, and trusting that what is meant for you will come back in its own time. When you do this, you don't just watch what happens. You create the right conditions for something real and lasting to grow. Confidence and independence are two of the most attractive qualities a person can have, especially in relationships. When a woman stands on her own 2 feet, knows her worth, and moves through life with self-assurance, it sends a powerful message. Men respect a woman who is confident and independent because it shows that she values herself and doesn't rely on others to define her happiness or success. Being confident doesn't mean you have to be loud or dominant. It means knowing who you are and being comfortable in your own skin. It means understanding your strengths and weaknesses and accepting yourself fully. When you carry yourself with confidence, it's like you're saying to the world, I know what I'm worth, and I'm not afraid to show it. This kind of energy naturally draws people in because it's genuine and inspiring. Independence means being able to take care of yourself emotionally, mentally, and financially. It means having your own goals, dreams, and a sense of purpose beyond the relationship. When a woman is independent, she's not waiting around for someone else to complete her or fix her problems. Instead, she's creating a full and meaningful life on her own terms. This independence is incredibly attractive because it signals maturity and strength. Men often respect women who don't cling or depend on them for validation. When you are confident and independent, you're less likely to tolerate disrespect or mistreatment because you know you deserve better. You set boundaries naturally because you understand your value. This self-respect encourages others to treat you with respect as well. Confidence also influences how you communicate. When you believe in yourself, you speak clearly, express your needs, and stand up for what you believe in. You don't shy away from difficult conversations or try to avoid conflict out of fear. Instead, you handle challenges with grace and assertiveness. This kind of communication builds trust and respect in any relationship. Independence doesn't mean shutting someone out or refusing to be vulnerable. It means being strong enough to share your life with someone without losing yourself in the process. It means choosing to be with someone because you want to, not because you need to. This kind of relationship is healthier and more balanced because both people bring their whole selves to the table. When you are confident and independent, you also become less needy and less anxious. You don't obsess over every message or worry about every little thing he does or doesn't do. Instead, you live your life fully and trust that the right person will appreciate you for who you are. This calm, assured attitude is magnetic because it shows emotional stability. Being confident and independent also means embracing your flaws and imperfections. Nobody is perfect, and pretending to be only pushes people away. When you accept yourself fully, including your mistakes and weaknesses, you become more relatable and authentic. People respect authenticity because it's rare and refreshing. Sometimes society or past experiences might try to tell you that you need to change or rely on someone else to be happy. But standing firm in your confidence and independence means breaking free from those old beliefs. It means deciding for yourself what makes you happy and how you want to live your life. This kind of freedom is powerful. Men are attracted to women who are emotionally strong because it means they don't have to fix or save them. When you are confident and independent, you come as a partner, not a project. This equality is the foundation of a healthy, lasting relationship. Confidence and independence also help you handle rejection or setbacks more gracefully. If a relationship doesn't work out, you don't crumble or lose your sense of self. Instead, you see it as a learning experience and a step towards something better. This resilience is inspiring and shows that you are in control of your own happiness. In real life, confidence and independence take practice and patience. They grow over time as you learn to trust yourself more and let go of doubts. You build these qualities by setting small goals, celebrating your achievements, and surrounding yourself with positive influences. It's a journey, but every step forward makes you stronger and more attractive. Ultimately, when you are confident and independent, you create a magnetic energy that pulls the right people toward you. You don't have to chase or beg for attention because your worth shines brightly on its own. Men respect women who stand tall, own their power, and live life with purpose and passion. So, if you want him to always come back, focus on building your confidence and independence. Stand firm in your value and keep growing into the best version of yourself. When you do that, you're not just waiting for love. You're creating a life so full and vibrant that love naturally finds its way to you. Communication is the foundation of any healthy relationship. And when it comes to keeping a man interested and connected, how you communicate can make all the difference. One of the most important things to remember is to communicate clearly and calmly. When emotions run high, it's easy to fall into the trap of drama, misunderstandings, and arguments that push people away rather than bring them closer. But if you can master the art of calm, clear, and positive communication, you'll build respect, trust, and a stronger connection. Clear communication means saying what you mean without beating around the bush or expecting him to read your mind. It means expressing your thoughts and feelings honestly, but without blame or anger. When you're clear, there's less chance for confusion or misinterpretation. This clarity helps both of you understand each other better and creates a space where problems can be solved instead of spiraling out of control. Calm communication is just as important as clear communication. When you approach a conversation with calmness, you show emotional maturity and control. This doesn't mean you suppress your feelings or pretend everything is fine when it's not. It means you choose your words thoughtfully and keep your tone steady even when discussing difficult topics. When you stay calm, you prevent the conversation from turning into an argument, which can damage trust and make him want to pull away. Drama is a relationship killer. It drains energy, creates unnecessary stress, and makes people want to avoid confrontation altogether. If you find yourself frequently caught up in drama, whether it's constant accusations, jealousy, or emotional outbursts, it's a sign that your communication style needs a reset. Drama might get attention for a moment, but it doesn't build lasting connection or respect. Instead, it creates distance and confusion. Keeping things positive doesn't mean ignoring problems or pretending everything is perfect. It means focusing on solutions, showing appreciation, and celebrating the good moments. Positive communication encourages both partners to feel safe and valued. When you highlight what's working and express gratitude for the little things, you create a warm atmosphere where love can grow. One of the best ways to keep communication clear and calm is to listen as much as you speak. Listening shows respect and makes the other person feel heard and understood. When you listen carefully, you gain insight into his perspective, which helps you respond in a way that strengthens the relationship instead of escalating conflict. Listening also teaches patience and empathy, two qualities that deepen emotional connection. It's also important to avoid making assumptions or jumping to conclusions when you communicate. Instead of assuming you know what he's thinking or feeling, ask questions and seek clarification. This openness reduces misunderstandings and shows that you value honesty and transparency. When both people feel safe to share their true thoughts and feelings, the relationship becomes more authentic and trusting. Another key point is timing. Choosing the right moment to talk about important issues can change everything. Bringing up heavy topics when one or both of you are tired, stressed, or distracted often leads to poor communication and hurt feelings. Waiting for a calm, relaxed moment shows respect for both your emotions and his. It also increases the chances that the conversation will be productive and positive. Communicating calmly also means managing your own emotions before entering a conversation. If you feel angry or upset, take a moment to breathe, reflect, and collect yourself. Responding from a place of calm rather than reaction prevents saying things you might regret and keeps the dialogue constructive. When you practice clear and calm communication, you build a strong foundation that helps the relationship survive challenges and grow over time. Men appreciate women who can express themselves without drama because it shows confidence, emotional intelligence, and respect for both themselves and their partner. Positive communication also makes it easier to set boundaries and express needs without guilt or fear. When you communicate well, you create an environment where both people can be honest and vulnerable without fear of judgment or rejection. This trust strengthens intimacy and makes the relationship more fulfilling. Remember, communication is a skill, and like any skill, it takes practice and patience to improve. Start small by being mindful of how you express yourself in everyday conversations. Notice when emotions start to rise and choose to pause rather than react immediately. Practice active listening and ask questions to deepen understanding. Over time, these habits become natural and create a more peaceful, respectful connection. In the end, if you want him to always come back, mastering clear, calm, and positive communication is essential. It shows that you're mature, self-respecting, and genuinely interested in building something real. When you avoid drama and keep things positive, you make the relationship a safe and joyful place, a place where he'll want to be again and again.